I also want to know first, what tool do we have presently to, what tool are we using as a BA? What tool are we using? I hear someone mention um cre- created what's it called? Somebody created something. What tool did you use to create whatever you said you created,
That's
apart
balsamic.
from your user story?
Balsamic.
Balsamic.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys have Visio yet?
Yes, we have VCO. We've been trained once on VCO.
You have it installed on your system?
Unfortunately, I've not been able to install it because I use Mac.
Okay. Does anybody have Visio?
No, we don't. We don't have the product key yet. We've installed it, but we don't have the product key yet.
Okay. I think with Balsamic, you also can do a use case with Balsamic. I think forgotten. But anyway, yes, that. Yeah. Use case is a very important diagram. Yeah. Not just for the BAs, but also for every member of the product team. For example, they ask you, the BA, how do you communicate technical things, yeah, to the non-technical um team? Yeah, how do you communicate technical terms to the non-technical guys? Now, because you are the BA, you're the one standing, you don't stand in between the technical and the non-technical guys, right? So now the use case diagram is one of those tools that you use to communicate, because the non-technical guys don't know how, they don't know what the technical guys are doing. Yeah. And the technical guys cannot understand the non-technical guys, which is the business. So use case diagram is one of those tools or diagram that you use to communicate in clear terms and bring everybody to an understanding of what they are actually doing. Yeah, like I said, what's a use case diagram? A use case diagram, first of all, is a behavioral UML diagram. Yeah. Hi. Now, again, if you look at your user story, yeah, your user story is behavioral, while your use case diagram, yeah, is also behavioral. Now, your user story, yeah, is more detailed, yeah, but your use case diagram is a high level diagram, yeah. It doesn't give you details of how the system works. It just gives you an idea how the system will behave. Yeah. So like I said, yeah, use case diagram is simply a behavioral UML diagram type frequently used to analyze various systems. The use case diagram is also an important tool in system design. Now, as a BA, you are also expected to understand system design principle, especially if you're a technical BA. Yeah, system design principle. Now, again, for the developers, they understand system design principles because they're going to be writing the codes. Yeah. So for you as the BA, you're just trying to balance or bridge the gap between what the design is, yeah, to the technical guys and also to the non-technical guys. You are bringing them together, showing them how the system is going to be behaving and interact with the external environment. Now, the use case diagram simply provide a visual representation of how users interact with a system. Now, like I said again before, it's a high level diagram. Yeah. which shows stakeholders a very broad view of the system. And basically it's focused on the functional requirements. Yeah. Now, this is it's a diagram that shows, these are all the diagrams, UML diagrams. Yeah. And if you notice here, you see a use case diagram. Yeah. Basically, for the business analyst, a use case diagram, yeah, is one of those diagrams that you need to understand, followed by the activity diagram. But you can see it's under behavioral. We have structural when you want to start looking at data. Yeah. But behavioral are things that could change. Yeah. Data is more like structural diagrams as diagrams that are more static. Yeah. Behavioral, yeah, is dynamic, can change. Yeah. So we're looking at use case today. Yeah. But as a BA, you don't need to know all this. Yeah. Use case diagram, activity diagram, which I think you guys have done process flow diagram, I believe. Yeah. So we're looking at use case today. So use case diagram is simply under behavioral diagram. Now, these are what we're going to be looking at today. This is basic diagram of a use case. Yeah, these things here might not make sense to you yet. Yeah, like I said, components of use case diagram. First of all, we have the system. Yeah, now what is a system? The system is simply the application that you are building currently. Yeah. Um, so, and is usually in that rectangle box. Yeah, that's the system. It's called the system boundary. I'm still going to explain it further as I move on. Yeah. We also have the external environment. Yeah. Meaning the people that are going to be interacting with the system. You know, the system is the box. Then the external environment are the people that are going to be interacting with the system. So those ones we call actors. That's where we have actor one and actor two. We also have use case or use cases. Use cases are simply, you can see use case one, use case two, use case three, and use case four. Those are simply the activities or the functions or the features within the system. Yeah. So anything outside this rectangle box is out of scope of the system. So every use case you find inside the rectangle box is what you intend the system to be performing or doing. Yeah. Then after the use case, which is denoted by this oval shape, we also have the the relationship. Yeah. We could see one here. The actor is tied to this use case. This actor is also tied to this use case. Yeah. We also have include relationship and the extend relationship. And we also have this one. This one is unique extension points. Usually, um, we usually don't use this most times, but it now depends on your expertise. If you're very good in doing use cases like this, it's easy to do an extension point. Like I can do an extension point anytime, but it all depends on how, it can be confusing. You don't really understand it, but thank God we're here. Now, again, these are the components of a use case diagram. One, the system. Can everybody see my cursor? Can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Wam. Yeah, first, in a use case diagram, we have the system. Now, the system is simply the application software, what you're actually looking at building, or the website. Yeah. And it's usually represented by this triangle box here. Yeah. So like I said here, anything outside the triangle box is out of scope. Yeah. So the triangle box is a boundary. So sometimes we say, instead of saying a system, they call it the boundary. But we use system boundaries is a better term to use. Yeah, so the rectangle box is simply the system boundary. Then two, we have the actors. Actors are people that are going to be interacting with the system. An actor is usually, you see the stick man here. Yeah. So we always have two actors. Not always, depending on your case. Yeah. A primary actor or the secondary actor. So here we have the primary actor on the left and we have the secondary actor on the right. Now, again, note this. The primary actor is usually on the left, while the secondary actor is usually on the right. Now, what does the primary actor do? They initiate. Yeah, they initiate an action. Then the secondary actor respond or react. Yeah. Take for instance, the primary actor requests for something, and the secondary actor respond to the request from the primary actor. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah. And the next component is the use case. Now, like I explained before, all the functionalities that the system will be performing is known as the use case. It's a list of tasks which the system can perform. For example, we have the login, the register, the book a course, and the payment. Now, know this, the use case itself is usually denoted by an oval shape. So anything inside that oval shape is the action that this system is going to be performing. Yeah. Now, apart from that, the next component of a use case is the relationship. The relationship is simply like a link connecting the external, the actors, with a use case. Yeah. The relationship between an actor to a use case. That's a relationship. It's sometimes called a communication link. For example, yeah, I'll use this as an example. A customer is an actor. Yeah. Transfer funds is a use case. So you can see that line between the customer and the use case. So that's a relationship. Now, there are different types of relationship. Yeah. The first one is association relationship, which is a solid line between the actor and the use case, as shown here. Yeah. It shows that this customer is interacting, how this customer is interacting with the system. The customer wants to transfer fund. Yeah. The customer will transfer fund. Now, again, going by same example that we use in all the use cases in the third component, you can see the actor here, yeah, is connected to login and also connected to register and book a course and make payments. So these are the activities that the actor are going to be performing. So that's why you're associating this use case to the actor. Yeah. And again, this is a solid line between the actor and the use cases. So that solid line is called association relationship. Then we have, okay, this is an example. So let's take let's I'll give you like a minute to go through this example to see if it makes sense before we move on. Yeah. So if you have any question that I want to ask after we've looked at this, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll just continue. So let me explain this again. Now, again, a use case have 4 components. Yeah. 1, the actor. Yeah. Here, in this our example, the ATM machine. Yeah. We have the actor. The customer is an actor. The ATM technician is also an actor. Yeah. Because it maintains the ATM. The bank is also an actor. You can see bank is an organization. Bank is also interacting with the system, the ATM. Yeah, it's also an actor. Now, inside the system, we have check balance, deposit funds, withdraw cash, transfer funds, maintenance, and repair. They are all inside the system boundary, which is the system itself, the rectangle box. Yeah, so you can see the solid line drawn from the customer to the use case. Now, customer initiate check balance. Bank responds to check balance. Customer deposit funds. Bank also responds to that use case. Customer withdraw cash. Bank is associated with withdraw cash. Customer transfer fund. The bank is also associated with it. Now, if we look at the next one, which is maintenance, the technician does what? Maintains the machine. You can still see it's also tied to the bank. The technician repairs the machine. It's also tied, linked to the bank. Now, the same thing goes to car rental system. Customer, which is the actor. How many customers do we have here? We have 4 customers. The customer, sorry, we have 4. How many actors do we have? We have 4 actors. The customer, the insurance company, the employee, and the manager. So you can see the interaction here between the customer, the employee, the manager, the insurance company, and the activities in the system here, car rental system. Yeah? Can I move on now? If you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand. So move on now.
Any questions, please? All good?
All good.
Alrighty, thank you.
Okay. So the second relationship or the second communication link is the include relationship. Now, the first thing you need to understand here, yeah, is an include relationship, or with an include relationship, you need a base use case and an include use case. A base use case is simply the function, yeah, it's simply the action the wants to take within the system. Now, the include use case is also, like I said, is a use case, but is include. That include simply means for this base use case to be complete, yeah, another use case needs to be triggered and complete before this base use case can be said to be completed. For example, when you log in, because initially when you registered, you've registered your details with the system. Yeah, the system have saved it in their database. So whenever you want to log in, the system automatically verifies your details. Now, again, remember, you are not performing that action. The system automatically performs it. It verifies your details before you can log in. Yeah. So this is an include relationship. So the most important thing here that you need to look out for is the direction of the arrow. Now you can see it's a broken arrow here, but you can see the direction. Yeah. That means for this use case to be complete, this has to be, the base use case needs to be, you know, triggered and complete. Yeah. Like I said here, whenever a customer requests a login, like I explained, the system will automatically call the login verification use case before completing the login process. Yeah. So the login process cannot be completed except the system verifies it. Now, again, it happens automatically. You don't, the only thing you do is to initiate. Once you initiate the login use case, the system automatically, yeah, it triggers. Once you initiate the login use case, it triggers the verified login details. Yeah, so that happens automatically. Now, for the next relationship, which is extend relationship, it's similar, but the difference is the include relationship happens automatically. Yeah, and it happens all the time. For an extend relationship, it doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, it can happen, it cannot happen. For example, the base use case, again, extend relationship also have a base use case and an extend use case. Now, an extend use case, sorry, a base use case in this case, yeah, is independent. It can work alone. Yeah, it doesn't need the extended use case to be triggered before it can be completed. See this example. You log in. If your login details is incorrect, yeah, of which in most cases, if we know our login details, once we log in, automatically, we have that include relationship. You log in successfully. But if your login details is not correct, yeah, that means you cannot log in. The system displays an error message. Yeah. If you notice, when the system displays an error message, it's not something that happens all the time. Yeah. It only happens if your login details is incorrect. Am I making sense? Yeah. So this extend relationship, yeah, this include relationship. You can see the direction of the arrow in include relationship and the direction of the arrow in extend relationship. Yeah. This simply means for the include relationship, this simply means for this to be complete, this has to happen. For an extend relationship, it simply means you can see the arrow pointing back. The extend use case does not have to happen for the base use case to happen. So the base use case can happen on its own, but if there's a problem, then it would trigger the extend use case, which is this example that I gave. Display error message. Yeah. Again, whenever a customer requests to log in and the system automatically fails to verify login details, an error message is displayed. Now, this is a very good example that we always use. When you sneeze, yeah, if you notice when you sneeze, you close your eyes, yeah. But when we sneeze and we have people around, most of the time we sneeze and we say, "Excuse me," yeah. But closing eyes is something that will happen, whether or not we like it. If you sneeze, your eyes, your eyes would close, yeah. But excuse me is an action that you do deliberately. So you can decide to say, excuse me, you can decide not to say it. Yeah. So that excuse me is something that you do out of courtesy. But the closing your eyes is not something that you have control. So it happens once you sneeze. Am I making sense? Again, like I said, notes
Yes.
include relationship. Happens every time. Why extend relationship happens sometimes. Yeah. So just remember again, the direction of the arrow, extend and include. Include points forward, why extend points back to the base use case. Yeah. This is an example. Yeah. So we've done, how many relationship have we done? This is the first one, which is the solid line. Yeah. Then this is the second, and this is the third. So let's look at this diagram very well. Yeah. Stick our time. See if it makes sense to us. If you have any question, once I complete the explanation, then you can. Okay. Now, you see this passenger, admin, and bank. They are actors. They are external. Yeah. And they are interacting with the system. Yeah. Which is the rectangle box. And also, they are associated with the use cases in the system. So the actors are performing those use cases. Yeah. The passenger book a ticket. When you're booking your tickets, maybe your flight tickets, yeah, a request for you to choose a seat. If we travel, if we are a regular traveler, we'll understand this. When you book your tickets for traveling, there's a functionality that might pop up to say, choose a seat. Yeah. Or they might request for you to choose a seat. So you can see that is optional. So because it's optional, it's an extend relationship. Remember, you are designing the system and the people you are communicating to, yeah, does not understand how the system would work. You've spoken to the business, yeah, to your clients, and your clients have given you the requirements, or your stakeholders have given you the requirements. Yeah. Now, you've also gone to your developers, yeah, your technical guys, and your technical guys have also told you how things are going to work. Yeah. But when you look at it, you're now saying, how do you, yeah, present your case such that both the developer or the technical guys and the non-technical guys, how can you bring them together to understand what you are saying such that once the technical guy sees this, they already understand what you're saying. Once the non-technical guy sees it, yeah, they could they could understand this. Now, with this diagram here, you could understand that everybody, when you explain this, everybody will be able to understand where they're going. Yeah. So for the actor, passenger wants to make payments. Yeah. Once you try to make payment, you enter your payment details. The bank will always verify if you have sufficient funds. Yeah. So the bank will first of all validate your card and confirm if you have sufficient funds. So you can see every time you try to make payment, this action has to happen. Unlike when you were booking tickets, choosing seats does not have to happen. It's optional. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. Yeah. Now remember, the solid line shows that the actor is performing this task. Yeah. And remember, The actors on your left, they are primary actors, while the ones on your right are secondary actors. Everything outside this rectangle box, which is your boundary, yeah, anything outside it, any use case outside the rectangle box is out of scope, is outside your boundary, yeah. So we have this broken line that shows a base use case and an extend use case or an include use case, depending on your design. Yeah. Again, this is another relationship. It's called generalization, also known as inheritance or specialization. Yeah. So it's more like a parent child kind of relationship. For example, if I take us back up again, take us back to the previous slide. Yeah, we have passenger. Yeah. Now, passenger here, you can define, sorry, passenger here, you can decide that, okay, passenger can be, you can have like an, you know, there are different passengers when you're traveling, especially if you're always flying. Yeah, you have some passengers that you can tend to be special. Yeah, or you might be a card carrier of that airline. Yeah, you have a category. So the passenger can also can be dynamic. You can have they can decide to split the passenger, say premium passenger. Yeah, and those that have a gold card passengers, for example. So you can now see that this passenger, you can decide, yeah, to further break it down in more detail so that whoever you are explaining it to, just like in this case, yeah, we have a user, yeah. You also want to break down that user so that it will be clear to who the users are, yeah. We have an old user and we have a new user. And also be a student or a tutor. Yeah, like in the case of payment, yeah, customer wants to make payment. You can see we have payment type, PayPal, MasterCard. They are all tied to payment. Payment is the parent. Why PayPal and MasterCard is the child. That's why we usually um, explain it as a parent-child relationship. Like in this case now, almost the same. We've been looking at this as well. We could see user, yeah? So who are user basically here? Students and staff, okay? Yeah, student and staff, the users, yeah? Now, sometimes the student might have his own use cases that is linked to. Why the staff has its own use case that is linked to. Now depends on how you want to explain it, yeah? You want to make it as simple as possible so that whoever looks at this would understand. Now, even if they don't understand, you can easily tell them, this is what it is. It's easy for them to comprehend, yeah, than when it's very complex, yeah. So we could see how they're all tied together. They exclude, sorry, they include, they include, they include, they extend, they extend. So the relationship are very key when you're doing your use case. So you have to be conscious of that. Yeah, you see the librarian, you see the database administrator. So this is a library management system. Yeah. So whatever you are building, is the system. And every use case inside the system is the action that the user are going to be performing. So it shows the behavior of the system. Yeah? Am I making sense? This one is a little bit complicated. Not really complicated. Yeah? This is called an extension point. Yeah? It's called an extension point. So, again, an extension point is simply an extension of an extend use, an extend relationship. Yeah? Take, for instance, this is an extend relationship. Yeah? You book a flight, you select seat. You can see the extend relationship. So you can see the arrow going back. So you don't have to always select seat. Yeah? Now, that's an extension point. Sorry, that's an extend relationship. Now, if we now come to an extension point, for instance, what is in front of us here, we could see, let's say you want to register, yeah, and you need support or you need something to guide you. Now, you are designing the system, and part of the requirement says to register, yeah, you also have option to use a guide, yeah, and you also have the option to read the terms and conditions before you register, because you want to know if you register what is there for you. You know, you want to understand the terms and conditions before you register. So for an extension point, you have options. Yeah. One of the options is to use the guide. You can see, you view the guide. Yeah. You can see that extension, extend, it extend. Yeah. You can also decide to view the T and C, terms and condition. Yeah. You can still see. Now, again, remember an extension point, the extend relationship does not always happen. Like in this case, you can decide to just register directly without using help. Yeah. But if you want to use help, yeah, you just click the view guide. It will pop up. Yeah. Or you view the T and C, it will pop up to read the terms and condition. So that is why it's called an extension point. It's just similar to your extend relationship. Yeah. But because it's something that you have to click separately to open, yeah, it's not like trigger, like the extension point. Yeah. Does it make sense? Do we understand it to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, this is the end of the story. Yeah. So you can see how easy a use case is. Yeah. But the problem now is, how do we build one? When you practice, that is when you learn it. If you don't practice, you will not be able to understand the questions that you need to ask. So I'll take you to the next page. This is an example of everything that we've done. Yeah. So this is a learning management system. Yeah. So you remember when you wanted to register the course, yeah, this is you, the primary actor. You went on the website, right? You register on the website. Yeah. Admin acknowledged your registration. Yeah. And probably you made payments. Well, maybe not at this point. Yeah. Then you register your details. Now you go in, you log in. Yeah. Once you log in, the system automatically verifies your password details. If it's correct, you log in successfully. So that's where we have the include relationship there. Yeah. If it's not correct, the system displays what? An error message. So that's why you have the extend relationship. Now look at the arrow direction. When you are talking about include and extend relationship, you look at the arrow, a broken line, an arrow pointing forward, and the other arrow points backward for the extend. Yeah. This solid line is the association. So this actor is associated with this use case, is associated with this use case, is associated with book a course use case. The secondary actor, which is the admin in this case, or the bank, is also associated with that use case. So again, a use case is simply the actions, the activities that's going to be taking place in that system. And this rectangle box, like I said again, is the system boundary. Anything outside the rectangle box is out of scope. But ensure that whenever you're building your use case, all your use cases are inside the rectangle box. Because by the time you start developing something outside the rectangle box, you start deviating. The developers might see that and want to make sense of that. You confuse them again. So just make sure everything you're doing is captured inside here, so we know what is in scope. Yeah. So again, if I come down here, customer is associated with payment use case, and the bank is associated with payment use case. And while you're making payment again, we could see there is another relationship, which is the specialization or the inheritance or generalization relationship. You see, every time you make payments, you might be prompt to make card payments or to make bank transfer. Again, every time you make payments, what happens? The system automatically verifies you have sufficient funds. I missed a link. There's supposed to be a link between this and this. Am I correct? No.
Yes,
Can somebody tell
you
me?
are.
Yeah, because this use case, again, I don't really have to because I've already captured it here. Do you see the difference? Because I've already linked it up in payments, because this is just opening in the up order. Yeah, I can decide at this level to link it, or I can decide at this level to link it. Yeah, once I link it at this level and I'm now generalizing, yeah, I don't necessarily need to link it at this level. But again, I can decide to link it at this level. But if I want to link it at this level, I don't have to link it at this level. Does it make sense? Yeah. Now we
What
have
happens when you link it at both levels?
nothing really. Yeah. But you want to make it as simple as possible so that it's not confusing. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're capturing at the payment level. So everything here has to do with payment. Yeah. I would have preferred to capture it at this level. But if you capture it here, you capture it here, as long as you can explain to your audience, you're fine. Yeah. Yes. And the last one, which is extension point. Yeah. Like I explained, you need help. Want to set up your profile. You need help. You click that, or you click the privacy information. It opens up. It opens up. You do your setup, or you do it that you. If you don't need help, yeah. If you don't need any of those help, you just set up your profile directly. Yeah. Does it make sense, everybody? If it doesn't, uh, just ask your question. If you have any question at this point, you can raise your hand and ask. Augusta, go on.
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. I just wanted to find out, right? Like we use cases as we're told, like with the best practice when designing process maps is best to like write down the key informations we need, like the stakeholders. Is there a difference between actors in use cases and stakeholders?
Okay. Do you know what a stakeholder is? People that have
Yes,
interest in your project.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
A
it could
stakeholder.
be humans and organizations, so like maybe bodies. So it's confusing. I'm not sure
Mm.
if it's any different.
Now, given the context of what we are looking at, you're designing a system. Yeah. Okay. You know what I'll do? Let me take you down so you see something. Okay. Now, this is a requirement. Yeah. Number one, this is the library system. Yeah. You could see this is a requirement that I've captured. At this point, I've spoken to the stakeholders. Yeah. The stakeholders can also be your customer. Yeah. Can also be your admin. Again, you remember, if you are gathering requirements, you want to understand where this requirement is coming from. Is it coming from admin, as this case maybe, or is it coming from the customer? So if you are writing your requirement, you know who you got this requirement from. You want to put down the stakeholder's name. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember when you're doing your stakeholder, what's that thing called again? Your stakeholder mapping, your power interest metrics.
Yeah. Racing
Yeah.
method.
Yeah. You've spoken to your you already understand the dynamic of your stakeholder. So when you are getting requirement, especially if you're getting requirement from, say, your MD, you know that that requirement is not something you want to joke with.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are the one capturing that requirement. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
your other colleague does not know who you got that requirement from, especially if it's not in that session where you elicited that requirement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have documented it somewhere. You can leave a column to say this is from your sponsor or from um, the user itself, or the say the director of finance. Yeah.
Okay.
So that whoever comes in to look at it will know where this requirement is from. So again, going by your question, they can also be your stakeholder. So, but
Okay.
this context is different
Mm,
from your stakeholder question. Yeah.
okay.
They can be users in this case can be your stakeholder because they are the one you're gathering the requirement from. So if you now come back after doing your use case, you call everybody together and explain this to them. Just show them this and explain it. Now they will be there as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the system might be primarily for them, or the system might be open to general. But when you are gathering your requirements, you want to, get them from your key stakeholders. Yeah. So they can be one of your key stakeholders. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'll take you here again just to illustrate for more. Now, if you see here, I've captured all the requirement here. Yeah, these are all my requirements. Yeah. If
Yeah.
I move down, you can see the use case because I'm building it.
Mm,
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
I've identified the actors. Yeah. I have the librarian. I have the member, I have the system.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've also, now again, when you are asked to build a system, the first thing you are thinking is what kind of system? What's the system going to be doing? Yeah. Once you know what the system is going to be doing, who are going to be using the system. You might have an idea based on what the system is going to be doing. Yeah.
Okay.
But you want to also confirm who are going to be using the system. So you want to know the roles and their responsibility, what they're going to be using the system for. Yeah. So that's why whenever you're talking about actors, you're talking about what is their role, what are they going to be using the system for?
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you want to define it. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what are the functions or the functionalities or the features of the system? Now you can see here, I also have captured them. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
broken this down,
Yeah.
because I've
Okay.
done this work. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's going to be different when I take you down again. You can see how this is.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but because I've already defined them here, I've broken them, I've opened them out from what I have here.
Okay.
This is the requirement. Yeah.
Okay.
From here, I've gathered this, I've extracted the actors, and based on what the um based on what the actors are going to be doing, I also have captured what their responsibilities or what their roles are going to be when when they want to use the system. So I've
Mm.
defined that there here.
Okay.
So with this, it's easy for me to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I finish this and I come to all of you here. Let's say this is a session. Yeah, I come to all of you. Yeah, and I start explaining all this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you are one of the key stakeholders and you're one of the system of this user, you can tell me that you don't want this member to be associated with this check. Yeah. You can tell me how you want it tweaked. You understand?
Yeah.
Because originally, we've not been able to give the stakeholder anything to see where you can get their input. Yeah. So with this, your stakeholders understands what the system is going to be doing. Then they can question you. They can tell you, why do you want to have pay a fine? We don't want our um, members to pay fine. You can tell them, oh, this is a requirement from, you know, the chief librarian, so that it would, they would have told you why. Maybe so that members will not keep book for long. If you keep the book for long, then you definitely have to pay a fine. If you don't return it as when due, you pay a fine. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much,
So,
Manu.
so with this, you can interact with your stakeholder,
Mm.
and your technical guys understand what they are going to be looking at. For example, say the QA, once they want to write their tests, their test step, yeah, or their test script, they can come here and start looking at, okay, search catalog. Okay, if they search catalog, what will happen? They expect something to be triggered once, you know, if user wants to search catalog, yeah, how do you search catalog? Search by book title. They will confirm that. How do you search again? You want to search by author's name, yeah? Now you can see all these are just options. So they will check that this can happen, this can happen. So this would help them to write their script. Yeah. Again, you can see how you're communicating with the technical guys, just the same way you're communicating to the non-technical guys. Yeah. Just with this use case alone. Yeah, and you can also now develop your story from here. Yeah? Does
Yeah.
it make sense, guys?
Yes.
So, do we have any question, Eniola? Go on.
Yes, Emmanuel, thank you so much. I just wanted to ask because you said now that from here we can develop our stories. So does it mean we do this first before creating our user stories?
Now, basically, this is high level. Yeah?
Okay.
This is not very detailed, but this would help you, yeah, to know what you are looking at. Yeah? This will just help you. For example, you want to now look at, let's say, search functionality, search catalog. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you know what is associated with all the search catalog. Now, because this is still high level, it's not broken down. You can decide when you're writing your story, yeah, you want to go further to break one of those items down, or you want to expand it. Yeah. Say you have a search feature. If a search feature have different levels, of which we can see that we have like three options here. You know, the story that you're writing for your search book by title is different from the story that you're writing for your search by author name or by subject name. Does it
Mhm.
make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
And
you
it
very
helps you to
much.
also understand what will go into your acceptance criteria. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that is something you confirm with your stakeholders. With this document, you can um, interact with your stakeholders. If there's something that they don't agree, once this is well defined, you can take this out and start building on it. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
comes, yeah, this comes before you write your stories. But again, it now depends on the dynamic of your work environment. But the ultimate thing is have an understanding of how to do this. Yeah. So if they tell you, do this when you're writing your story, give it to them. But make sure you practice it. Make sure you know where you're finding it difficult to do so that your mentors will just help you to connect it. Yeah. Because if you don't practice, you don't know, you think it's easy like this until you start working. You now realize that you don't know how to even move this arrow or even connect this one to this use case. Yeah. So you have to practice it. Yeah. So
Yes,
you can
thank you
see
very
now,
much.
I have to get the requirement out. I have to open up the requirement. Yeah. Before I come here. Now, one important thing I want us to also understand is the naming convention. You know, when you're doing your process map, you're looking at the steps, the actions, yeah, in the process. It's the same way as you name your process map, that's the same way you name your use case in this case. Remember, an action, an action and a now. For example, update catalog. Update is an action. Then catalog is a noun. Catalog is a thing. Yeah. Does it make sense? If I let me take us back up again. Now, you could see book a course, make payment. Yeah. Those you can see is an act is a verb and a noun. A verb and a noun. That is how that is a standard naming convention. It's not that you cannot decide whatever, especially if it's a complicated one. Yeah. Let me see if I have any one up there. which I don't think, especially if it's a complicated one, you can decide to give it, okay? Like take for instance, see, send reservation, cancelled not send reservation cancelled notification. Yeah. Sometimes if you can't put it in 2 words, because it's best practice, a verb followed by a noun, an action and a thing. Yeah. An action and what you're actually interacting with. So reserve a book, request new book. You understand? There's always an action that you're performing. That's why it's in the system. So the use case is the future, what you are doing within the system. That's why it's an action. Yeah? Does it make sense? So guys, um, does anybody have Visio here? If you have Visio, let me know. If you don't have Visio, that's fine. If you have Balsamic, anybody have Balsamic? Does anybody have Balsamic? Okay. What tool though do we have?
We
Yeah,
have balsamic.
balsamic, yes.
Can you share with us, please? Because I don't have Balsamic. Yeah. Um, and this system I'm using, I don't have Visio on this system. Yeah. What I have on this system, I'm not sure I still have a license for it. Mm. So if you have Balsamic, I think there is use case in Balsamic. If somebody wants to help share, if you don't have, if you cannot share, let me know. So maybe I would give you permission. Gustav, can you share, please?
Yes, I can share. Let me open up a balsamic, please.
Okay. So I think we can stop the recording. Yeah.